What's up guys, Barry Gaming here, back with some more AFK Journey, and tonight we have the Primal Lord coming out. Yes, this is going to be the second boss we have in the game. We've already had the Lone Gaze come out, the Wolf, and for most people, this will eventually roll out to your server, but it's good to plan ahead, know what heroes to use, and get the best score against this boss. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Hit that like button if you guys get some good information out of this one here. Let's jump right into it. So a little disclaimer here, this is basically going off of the information that we had from the PTR, but remember with the Wolf Boss 2, the Wolf Boss was significantly nerfed from the PTR to the live servers. So we don't know if that's necessarily going to happen here tonight, but I think most of these teams we show you here today aren't going to be that much different than what you use in live. You might add like one less support hero, one more damage dealer, something like that. Let's go over his skills first. So his ultimate skill will summon a swarm that deals 80% damage per second to each enemy that is covered in honey. He'll apply that honey with other abilities. When all enemy heroes are marked with that honey, a mega swarm is summoned, dealing 250% damage per second till the battle ends. So that is a huge amount of damage. Constant sustained healing is going to be great. His first skill is an important one. It throws honey at the enemy hero, marking them until the end of battle, dealing 100% damage. The healing received by that marked enemy is reduced by 80%. So shields and damage reduction are going to play a huge role in this team composition. Less so healing, but you're still going to want healing. Skill number 2 is important as well because this throws honey at the enemy and adjacent tiles, dealing 50% damage and marking them. Smashes the ground when there are no enemies in adjacent tiles, dealing 400% damage to all enemies. You need to have a hero with a 1 range that's going to be right there tanking in the front. Thorn is going to be a good pick. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but having 1 melee unit is going to be important. And then skill number 3 marks and pulls a terror ball toward the enemy, dealing 100% damage to all enemies in the path. So having your allies kind of spread out is going to be helpful. Beyond that, there are a couple tips and tricks. Again, you want a single hero in that range 1 like a Thorin that is going to tank the boss. Because of this, there are because of skill 2, you want to prevent the bear from using it and doing massive AoE. You're going to avoid damage dealers that you have a range of 1, which works out because if you want to use Corrin, one of the best melee damage dealers in game, he actually has a range of 2 and he's going to stay out of this, which is really, really awesome. Again, healing received by allies is going to be lowered, so shields and damage reduction is going to be a lot. And then you're going to consider using damage dealers who can keep themselves alive so that they have lifesteal, anything like that. That's going to be huge. I don't think this is going to surprise you, but yeah, Smokey and Mirky is obviously going to be one of the best picks here, just like with the other Primal Lord. Tons of healing, absolutely amazing. If you have him leveled up to Supreme Plus, he's going to do additional damage to the boss. Really, really awesome. He is very good in this one. You're basically always going to want to have him. If for some reason you're early game free to play and you're not having luck with hero copies, you can use other support heroes that can do well. Heck, even some unconventional heroes like Lucius might come in handy to make your sustain and your survivability of your team better. Keep that in mind. And then of course the backbone of a free-to-play account is most definitely going to be Coco. Her damage reduction is going to be amazing because that's going to help your team survive longer, even with that healing debuff. Those are going to be like the best 2 that you're going to go. If you can have Coco and have Smokey and Mirky on a free-to-play, that's probably going to be your best route running 2 support heroes. Now, there's really only a couple debuffers that are going to be kind of valid in this one. Of course, if you have Mythic Plus, you can use Rhynier. Most of you guys are not going to have that. So going with the tried and true heroes like Thorin, he's going to be able to tank. And then on top of that, he's also going to make the target take additional damage. If it's up to level 4, it's 17 additional damage when he uses his ability, which is very strong. And like I said, he's going to be that tank. Just remember, you're only really going to want 1 melee hero in range, so you kind of need to pick between a Thorin and maybe even a Kruger. So if your other heroes aren't surviving very long, Kruger could be an awesome pick. That way he gets his armor break, the shatter armor up, which is really, really good. And then after that, you can focus mainly on damage dealers. Now, chances are, if you're free to play, probably your strongest damage dealer survivability wise is going to be Cessia. Is she the best in this situation? Probably not. But again, if you're very early game and you don't have like that much power on your team, you're gonna want to use heroes that can survive the longest or have some self-sustain. If you don't run that, of course, Odie is going to be an amazing pick on this one as well, especially if you're not using Kruger and you're using Thorin. Odie is going to be probably one of the top damage dealers. Again, I mentioned this earlier, but the fact that Corrin's ranged abilities are actually a 2, or like their melee are actually like a 2 range on like the ultimate and stuff, that's good because that's going to keep him out of range of that swipe type ability. So if you're running like a Thorin tank, you can run Corrin with him. He's going to be a really good damage. And then if you're running a triple damage dealer setup, I mean, it's going to be hard to beat a Merrilee here. It's going to be probably one of the best damage dealers in this. Really strong. There's really only one other hero that I'd even mention in this, and that is when the HP of the boss does drop below 50%. If you have a built-up Vala, that's going to be really good because she'll stay in her sword mode. She'll do tons of damage, and she could be a very good option, especially if you went heavy into her upright banner. Now, I know this is going to say Trial Abyss, but I just want to show you guys some examples of heroes and teams that will work very well. Mainly talking about free to play first, because free to play, this is going to be like the more difficult team composition to find. In reality, you're probably going to want to run a team that has both Coco and Odie, something like that. Most likely you're going to want Thorin to be that tank in the front row. Odie is going to be the hero that you're investing the most in, and then the last spot is pretty flexible. If you do have a Cessia that's really strong, you might want to use her. But honestly, if you have a Corrin, he could be a really good option. If you have a where is she? Merrilee, where are you? If you have a Merrilee, that could be another really good option. So a free-to-play team is going to want to look something like this. If you need to use like a Haywin instead of a Smokey, that would be great. This is probably what I would call the optimal free-to-play team as far as hero composition. But again, it really comes down to if those heroes can live. If they can't live, you might want to use less optimal heroes like Cessia. They can just survive a little longer, and that might up your damage. Now, if you are a spender or you just have a much better account from the PTR, you're going to be able to run Smokey and Mirky as pretty much a solo here. One thing you are going to want to do is make sure you have Rhynier towards the back, and you're going to want to put a swap hero with him. So you're going to want to run something like this. You're still going to want to run a Thorin, and most likely run a Merrilee as well. So this is most likely what your team composition is going to look like. There might be some flexibility depending on how this boss performs. If the boss isn't crazy strong and you're using a very heavy physical damage team and you do have it, you might be better off running a Kruger as kind of your frontline tank here. That might be one of the best options here. Again, you're going to want to put one of these heroes in the very back slot because that will swap with the boss on the other side of the battlefield. But again, that's only if you have a Rhynier. If you're even a spender and you don't have a Rhynier, it will be hard running 2 of these heroes at the same time. Most likely, if you don't have a Rhynier, you're probably going to run a team similar to this. Odie, Merrilee, Corrin, Thorin, and Smokey and Mirky. It's probably going to be one of the best setups you can actually run. Running other melee heroes like Shakir and stuff like that is not going to be to your benefit on this boss. So he does open tonight. We will test him out and see how he is. If he is a nerfed version of his PTR account, then we might be able to change some of these strategies. But honestly, yeah, I think what we kind of went over is going to be a good way to start. And then if we need to tweak anything, we'll let you guys know tomorrow. This is going to be another way to get a ton of extra resources. So definitely stay tuned. We will be testing him out. We'll be getting extra rewards and hopefully a lot more of this hero essence because it's in the list, and we kind of need hero essence. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Make sure you guys take 1 second, hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below. We're getting hit with an invalid traffic bug, which is just killing our impressions right here on YouTube. So help the channel out. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. See you guys next time.